Ramsey. I'm playing the Duke.
Hi, my name is Amber McNew. I'm Isabella.
Hello, my name is Michelle Handley and I am the costume designer.
James Noel Hoban, I'm the director. Measure for Measure is a comedy, believe it or not, that largely centers around what happens when power is concentrated into the hands of the wrong person. One of the reasons I set the play in the 1880s Montana was to underscore that sense of isolation, frontier justice, do we have a good sheriff or a bad sheriff? And how does that impact everyone in this community when power ends up in the wrong hands, and what needs to happen, and how everybody needs to, kind of pitch in to set this little world right again. The term problem play is often applied to Shakespeare plays that don't fit into a neat little box. And in the case of Measure for Measure being one of his later comedies, the comedy doesn't jump off the page like, the witty banter of Beatrice and Benedict in Much Ado About Nothing, or the over-the-top romantic shenanigans of Love's Labour's Lost. But it's there to be found.
Yes, and there are things about, some of the themes that Measure for Measure explores that one wouldn't associate with a comedy. The near sexual assault that happens between, Angelo and Isabella, and there's also something to me about the way that this play ends, where Isabella rejects one man's very forward proposal to then be proposed in a very different way by this other man. To me, I think, is a problem. It's like, have we really found any resolve? Has this young woman really anything, to look forward to? Yes, the Duke is a charmer, but what about her, what's the word I'm looking for? Agency, the agency that Isabella has for herself. What is that in this play? And so I think that's where the problem comes up and things like that, but I don't know.
No, I completely agree with you. It has been an interesting journey, respecting, of course, the time period in which this is happening, but being a woman in 2021, playing a role that undergoes this, and my own personal beliefs, which I know you must release to have no judgment, but it can be difficult just as women who undergo different varying forms of assault each day, and then she is pleading over and over many times for the help, and when none of that help seems to come but by position of power, often by men, that it can become a problem. I would say that's where the problem play of that justice versus what is right and wrong, and exploring those themes has been difficult. I would say for me, it's hard to find the resolution, but I would say that thank God for the comedy, or else for me it would be almost off-putting to undergo the full journey of this character, if that makes sense.
Definitely, and definitely as a woman, for my part at the moment, I'm witnessing this, and to see this whole story arc where all of the people are taking this woman and persuading her and maneuvering her and manipulating her, it's very difficult in this day and age to absorb that.
Especially when we were literally in rehearsal the day that I figured out that Britney Spears was denied, but Bill Cosby was released.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just putting that into the space and being transparent, and it was that sense again of our law. What does our law allow? And that was I just remember being in rehearsal and kind of being like, wow, we're not telling an old age story on some level, but we are. So, yeah.
I worked on Measure for Measure in grad school, actually. I did the scene with Angelo and Isabella, and I was Angelo. And to answer your other question, I would love to play Angelo. So working that scene was a bit of a challenge, not not in that, you know, the language or anything like that, but just Angelo's journey. All of this is, he's in a constant state of discovery and like finding, you know, having all these sensations and feelings in his body that he's never experienced before after he's seen this would-be nun, you know, and so it's pretty wild. And I mean, just as an actor, getting to rediscover that every night, I think would be a treat.
If I were to play something else to answer, I would also want to play Angelo. If I could play another role in this show, but what a dynamic that would be to have a woman kind of in that role, and I recognize and think that could be really groovy.
Were I to act in it, I've long eyed the role of Angelo, but a few years back I saw a production filmed at the Globe Theatre in London with Mark Rylance playing Vincentio, and then I realized, oh, that's the role. There's a lot of comedy to be found there. Data's doing a fantastic job in that regard. So yeah, Vincentio holds a particular appeal to me as a character.
I feel like too, as an audience viewing this story now, as opposed to 30 or 40 years ago, what people would leave holding in their mind of how Isabella was treated.
Yes.
And what, you know, how she was kind of taken advantage of in many ways. So I feel like that's something that I hope there's a real sense of a bit more relating.
Yeah.
That she was really treated poorly. Really.
And you're bringing a beautiful like depth and sensibility to her that I think
Yeah.
this play absolutely needs. You know, and I think, you know, same. I want people to leave with the questions, particularly around this thing of power and purpose. Who's in power? What's the purpose? Does the power change the purpose? You know, what does power do to a person, to a man, to a woman? Like, what does power do to people? I think that's something that is incredibly relevant today. Just in the news, and you hear about all these people that had power or have power, and the things that are now coming to light. You know, it's pretty wild. And so I think those conversations, I want those to be like kind of shaken out, sifted through after this.
Yes.
Nathan Ramsey.
Amber McNew.
Michelle Handley.
James Noel Hoban, I hope you'll join us at the theatre at Monmouth for Measure for Measure. Thank you very much for watching.